Thank you, staff members, and thank you, members of the public who have turned out here in person. And this meeting is being live streamed, so for anyone who's joining us online as well, welcome to this OCM. I'll declare it open at 5:30, and in doing so, would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Noongar Wadani people, and their continuing connections to land, waters and community. We pay our respects to all members of the Aboriginal community and to their cultures, and to elders past, present and emerging. So there's a number of people here, so welcome all. For those who have not attended a council meeting before, and I'm assuming there might be a few, this is an official OCM where council will make decisions. I note there's a number of deputations from a number of the members later on. When we get to that item, we'll invite you up and you have 10 minutes to present to council. And of course, council will then deliberate on the item and make a decision. In order of a piece for the crowd, I understand that that item, when we deal with that, we'll deal with that item first. The item, which is 10.4.1, we will deal with that first. So when we complete that, for those who have children in the room, can leave, or anyone can leave at that stage. I would like to also acknowledge that there has been a number of emails from a number of, I'm assuming, the people in the crowd here to myself and elected members. So those have been received, and we will note that. Thank you. I haven't responded to too many of those at the moment because there has been quite a number of them. Would also like to acknowledge that this will be the last sitting of this council. This is the last OCM of this council group, both elected members and obviously the staff executive members who are here as well. So I would like to thank each member for their efforts over the last 2, sometimes some of them 4 years and more for some. It's been a great journey, and I'm very proud of what the city has been able to achieve over that time. So thank you very much to all of you for that commitment. For those who are running, good luck. For those who are remaining, good luck as well. And I believe there's a couple of candidates who are still in the room too. So good luck to them, and wishing the City of Bunbury Council all the best going forward. But again, reiterating my thanks to this council for the work. It's been a pleasure to be part of. So thank you. We are all here, which is great. And there are no apologies. The director, Mick Robert, is an apology, I should note, sorry. Haven't received any declaration of interest, councillors. Are there any declarations? Councillor Andrew?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. There should be one on your desk on 10.4. Just don't know the applicant's family.
Sure, there is one there. That's item 10.4.1 from Councillor Andrew. It is an impartial interest, so Councillor Andrew will remain in the room for that. Any other declarations of interest? Thank you. We have received some questions from the public, or one set of questions from the public. So, Linton, can you come join us now? Thank you, Linton. And you can ask your questions. As I spoke previously, we may not have answers for those at the moment, given the time frame. But feel free to answer your questions. We'll, if needed, we'll take those on notice and we'll get formal responses, both of you, and they'll be in the minutes. But thank you. It should be on, but give it a go. Oh, it does need to be turned on over there.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name's Linton Hodson. I've just moved to Bonfire Boulevard. Rates, roads and rubbish. My questions today relate to waste management. Our national government's 2035 environmental targets demand immediate and decisive action, and methane from landfill is a significant issue. My first question is, with FOGO reportedly going to landfill with no solution in sight, is Council considering suspending the service and not charging ratepayers in the absence of the service?
I'll get you to ask each one of your questions now, Lynn. Thank you.
Number 2 is, how much yellow bin waste is going to landfill and how much longer in the current contract? My third question is, will Council please request a comprehensive report on waste management public comment before the end of the year, so that individual citizens can address their day-to-day personal outputs in the most effective manner?
Thank you. So Liz, I'll ask the CEO. I don't believe we have responses for those just yet, but I'll ask the CEO if there's any responses.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for the questions. There's a fair bit going on in the waste space, but I think, Mayor, it'd be prudent to take them on notice and do as you suggested. We'll provide a response back to Mr Linton, and we'll put that in the minutes of the meeting as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. So they'll be both formally written to you, and they'll be in the minutes. And I know we just had a little bit of chat previously. Council has previously had informal sessions in here where it is a bit more of a conversational base, and depending, obviously, post-election, whether that's something that continue, to have that wider discussion you mentioned earlier, that might be a forum for that to occur. But we'll get those responses to you first and foremost.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving along, we have minutes from the previous OCM. Is somebody happy to move that they're true? Thank you, Councillor Quain. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Kozsek. Likely to be any debate, councillors? I'll put that. Those in favour of those minutes? That's carried. Thank you. And the minutes of the advisory committee, the Heritage Advisory Committee, those in favour? Thank you. Oh, sorry, first a mover, Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Kozsek. Those in favour of accepting those minutes as true? That is carried. Thank you. So, councillors, as I indicated before, there are a number of deputations on item 10.4.1. Those who approve those deputations, please indicate. That's carried unanimously. So, when we get to that item, those people will be invited one by one to speak, and I'll do that on the order that they were received in front of us there. Thank you. Method of dealing with the business first, item 9. So, councillors, at this stage, the only item coming out for discussion is 10.4.1, and obviously we'll deal with the urgent business item as well. Would anyone like to discuss any of the other items in the agenda? Councillor Steck?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. 10.2.1.
10.2.1, thank you. Is there any other coming out for discussion? And as indicated at the start, we will deal with 10.4.1 first. If that's the case, is somebody happy to remove the remainder removed on balance? Thank you, Councillor Steele. Second by Councillor Steck. Those in favour, please indicate. They're carried. Thank you. Thank you, Minute Taker. If we could go to 10.4.1, please, to deal with this particular item first. And before we obviously get that on the agenda, we will ask the deputations to join us. So we have Alicia to join us first. Lazinski. So thank you. Please come along. As I indicated, you do have 10 minutes, given there is a number of deputations. If you don't want to use all your 10 minutes, feel free, but obviously that is the standing orders as well, your right. So thank you.
Good evening, councillors, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Alicia Lazinski, and I'm a mom of 3 young boys. Living in a coastal city like Bunbury, water safety is one of my biggest concerns. When my son started private swimming lessons with Michelle, the transformation was incredible. They went from fearful to confident and capable in the water. This progress is something we were unable to achieve through other swim programs, where families face long wait lists and large class sizes. I understand there have been concerns raised about traffic and noise from lessons at Michelle's home. From my own experience, the sessions are very small. The families arrive and leave at staggered times. The number of cars is minimal and short-lived, and the noise is no more than you'd expect from a normal backyard pool. With council support, more children in Bunbury can gain the confidence and skills they need to be safe in the water. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mark Dennis. Mark?
Thanks, Mr Mayor, Deputy Mayor, councillors. My wife's told me not to waffle, so it's all very precise on this page, or 2 pages, so it won't take long. Councillors, I'm Mark Dennis. I reside at number 8 Pamelia Road in Glen Iris, which is next door to Michelle's residence. I'm here to just give my observations as a neighbour regarding these swimming lessons. I do spend considerable time in my garden, particularly in the summer, warmer months, so I'm out the front quite often when Michelle's running lessons. I do observe the parents arriving with young children. Usually there's only one child in the car. I do notice that one car arrives and then there's one car arrived to take the other child finishing a lesson. So there's only 2 cars sort of sitting there for momentarily as they swap over lessons. A short time later, the child attending the previous lesson departs with their parent. Usually see a maximum of 2 vehicles for a short period. I've never seen any of the vehicles parking on Pamelia Road. I think they've been forewarned not to park and cause a problem. They are parked well off the road, and when I'm out the front, I do notice there's usually around a metre behind the car, between the back of the car and the road. They're parked well off, about a metre. I've never seen any impediment to passing traffic, and as I said, I do spend a lot of time out there in the summer. This is in the front yard, obviously. I've never seen any cars blocking or parked over the road in that time. I do observe the children, first lessons when they're newbies, they're a bit hesitant. When they get out of the car after that, they're more focused on running to the gate to go and do their lessons because they're pretty happy about it. They don't go I've never seen a child anywhere near the road. I've noticed the lessons are for a few months of the year, and I've noticed around 3 days a week. Whilst in the garden, there's not a level of noise that causes me any enjoyment to my lifestyle. Obviously, you can hear Michelle out the back giving instruction, but for me personally, I don't find it a problem at all. Over the last several weeks, we've had new renters at the rear of our property. They've installed monkey bars, trampoline. Children play there most days. It's the usual talking and laughter from the kids, but once again, not above expected noise from living in a residential. Same over the road, we have 2 little girls playing their front fenced off yard nearly daily. They're talking and laughing, having a great time. Once again, an expected level for the residential. In conclusion, our neighbours have always requested us to let them know if there is a problem. We personally have no issues and believe the more young children that learn water safety, the less we will hear about water deaths. I hope this has been helpful in your decision making. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Kelly Cooper. Thank you, Kelly.
Hi, Mayor and councillors. My name's Kelly. I'm here today to strongly support Michelle's request to continue her private swimming lessons from her residence. My 6-year-old twin girls, Chloe and Elise, just sitting down there, have been with Michelle for just over 2 terms, and in that short time, they have become confident and capable swimmers. Before Michelle, we had enrolled them in local recreation centres, and since they were 6 months old, and those classes were overcrowded, under-resourced, and offered a very little individual attention. Despite years of effort in those programs, our girls made no progress there. With Michelle, everything changed. Her teaching style, her professionalism, her ability to engage with the children simply cannot be matched by these larger facilities. The quality of Michelle's lessons is on another level. If only you could be a fly on the wall. She provides focus, discipline, and encouragement in a way that ensures children, even the shyest of ones, that they thrive. This issue has caused our family, and many others probably sitting behind me, a lot of stress. If Chloe and Elise cannot continue with Michelle, we'll have no alternative. The local facilities are overwhelmed with waitlists, and while they advertise one-on-one lessons, I've been told they simply do not have staff or the space to cater for these. Without Michelle, my daughters and many children in this room and community will miss out on the water safety skills that could probably one day save their life. As parents with a backyard pool ourselves, the progress our girls have made with Michelle has given us enormous peace of mind. Taking that away from them now would not only halt their development, it will put their safety at risk. Michelle herself is highly professional and organised. Her lessons run to schedule, transitions are smooth, and noise is kept on absolute minimum. In fact, the level of noise during lessons is less than what you would expect from an ordinary family just using their backyard pool. Because the kids there, they know it's a structured, focused teaching environment rather than just a casual play date. Most importantly, Michelle offers something irreplaceable. She has a very unique skill set. She has a passion and dedication that no public program has ever come close to delivering. Michelle fills a critical gap in this community. She's not just teaching swimming, she's teaching life-saving skills and giving children confidence in the water that will stay with them for life. I urge the council to understand the seriousness of this situation and the impact on local families. If Michelle cannot continue her lessons, many children, including my own, will simply go without. That is not a risk we should be willing to take. Please allow Michelle to continue this vital work. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. I've got Paula Spears, but it says spokesperson unsure. Is that Paula? Are you speaking? Is Paula? Thank you. Welcome, Paula.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor and councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here with my daughter Emily, who is 8 years old. She has ADHD and struggles with anxiety, which has made group swimming lessons incredibly difficult for her. She needs one-to-one support to feel safe and to learn effectively in the pool. Despite trying 3 times, Emily hasn't been able to start past stage 1 in her school swimming lessons. This year she was placed in a group with children working on different stages, and her teacher had to divide her attention across 10 to 12 kids each lesson, all learning different things. In that setting, Emily really didn't have any chance of passing. I searched for private swimming lessons but couldn't find any that was going to be suitable until a relative put me in touch with Michelle. We were lucky enough to complete 1 term of one-on-one lessons with Michelle last year, and the difference was incredible. Emily finally felt confident in the water. She learned the skills she needed and she was ready to pass stage 1. But unfortunately, Michelle had to stop teaching and we couldn't continue. By the time school swimming came around, Emily had lost the confidence and the skills that she'd worked hard to build, and she's failed stage 1 for the 3rd time. Without Michelle, I honestly don't know what we're going to do. Group lessons don't work for my daughter, and we don't have the skills to teach her ourselves. Michelle's lessons are essential, not just for Emily, but for so many children that are like my daughter and need a different kind of support to learn these life-saving skills. We hope that you allow Michelle to continue her work because kids like my daughter really need her. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Paula. John Stevens and Deborah Kerrigan. Sorry, Deborah. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and councillors. There's no question that Michelle's teaching style and the need in the community is valid. She does a very good job, and as you can see, she's quite popular with the turnout, with the children that are here this evening. To me, the question is whether a residentially zoned home is the proper place for this need to be met. I live at number 12 Pamelia, which is the other side of the other gentleman on the other side of Michelle's house. Now, we moved in on February 4th, 2024. Both Deborah and I are from New Zealand, and we've only been in the country about a month. Had acquired a rental, which you know is difficult to do. And then we noticed immediately that there was a swim school in business, and that was based on the noise emanating from the activities of 10 Pamelia Road. This went on until the winter weather turned cold in April or May, I believe, with clients arriving every 30 minutes in an 8-hour day, 5 or 6 times a week. This totaled 66 client appointments per week. 264 client appointments based on a 4-week month along with their vehicles. Overall summary of the 3 weeks of the tracking that I did from October 12th to November 3rd, 2024, client appointments with over 201 vehicles, as some of the clients bring 2 or more cars to the session. Keep in mind that there are usually more than 1 child per appointment, as parents often have more than 1 child attend. Now, I did diarize this starting week 1 through week 3. Week 1, summary 66 client appointments, 66 plus vehicles using the parking lot in front of the house. The gentleman stated earlier that he hadn't seen any more than 2 vehicles parked out front. I have photographs in my confidential submission that you'll find in the confidential appendix that show 4, usually SUVs or utes, parked in the gravel area, and there is not adequate parking from nose to tail. The tails are generally right there at the edge of the curb where the road runs by. So, you know, when I started tracking this, For instance, week 2, Saturday, 13 appointments. Every 30 minutes, like clockwork. These pauses in between appointments that Michelle itemizes in her statement just simply didn't happen. People were stacked up as they come and go like clockwork. On top of that, this home has 2 very yappy dogs, if you will. Every time a client comes, dogs go off, kids are screaming. It's quite noisy. It's really unimaginable. We have grandchildren here in Bunbury. When they come over, they say, "How do you put up with this?" And they're just visiting for an afternoon. It's not just, common, easygoing noise of a Saturday afternoon. This is a 6-day-a-week pool party. It is constant. So Saturday, 13 appointments. Sunday, nothing, a day off. Monday, 18 appointments. Tuesday, 15 appointments. Thursday, 6 appointments. Now, this is just the season getting started. So there are some lulls in this activity, but it is very popular. People just come and go every 30 minutes. I often wonder, where does she get lunch and when does she rest? And unfortunately, I have to say that I witnessed and hearing her saying, "Okay, boys, wait here and do not get in that pool," as she ran off to use the toilet. Now that meant these children, I don't know how many, at least 2, unsupervised for a moment while she ran off. There are no other employees. There is no safeguard, in my opinion. On and on it goes. Summary week 2, 66 client appointments. Summary of week 3, 69 client appointments along with their vehicles. Now, I noted that in the documents that the council has generated, it's not just vehicles, it's coming and going. So in the 3-week period that we had here, we had 201 vehicles come. So they come and they go. So that's 402 vehicle movements in a residential neighborhood, and it's just far too busy. It's not zoned for a commercial business. I think Michelle should open or use a venue somewhere, a sports center, something like that to conduct her business. And so I stand in opposition of this business being conducted right next to me. If I had known, I would not have moved into that home. It is consistently noisy, along with the singing, the unhappy ones screaming, the happy ones screaming, the nursery rhymes over and over and over. I mean, it is repetitive, the same ones all the time, and it just becomes very much an irritant, and there's no getting away from it in my property. We can be at the furthest point in our home and still hear them. That's how noisy it is. Let's see if I have any further here. I think you got the idea. Hopefully you've read my my confidential submission. It was 11 pages long, has their diagram illustrated in it with some notes that I made on them, plus a couple photographs that I've submitted to prove that there are more than 2 vehicles parked there at any given moment. So thank you very much. For the record, my last name is Stevens, not Stevenson.
Sorry, John.
Yeah, it's okay,
My
Mr.
apologies.
Mayor. No problem. I don't know, Deborah, would you like to say anything?
Probably just a couple of things. Hi, everybody, I'm Deborah. I live next door at 12 Pamelia. Just summarising things. I found Michelle's letter to the community a bit offensive. I felt she trivialised her neighbours' lived experience. She hasn't communicated with her neighbours apart from the man who spoke earlier. But she hasn't communicated with us. And really, I just feel she trivialised in that letter, you know, the meaning of all this for the rest of her neighbours. And her letter is not a true indication of what went on. There is as in our private statement, there's a three-week, does not depict the 3-week dialogue or the three week of diarisation that we actually did. Also, you know, the map of the parking where it had 2 cars. This family has 2 teenagers, 2 adults, and there are 3 of their own cars, let alone the cars of the parents who come and bring their children to swimming lessons. I noticed on the map that there's 2, she has diarised 2 car parks. There's a tar seat, there's a gravel area where they all park, where all the parents park. And as per the photos that we submitted. And I just want to say, if there is any chance that this does get approved by the council, I feel that Michelle has stretched the point, not told the whole factual truth or showed the whole factual truth of what's gone on. It is not full, she hasn't given full information that our statement and our photos have actually depicted. So my fear is that if she's granted this licence, that she's going to continue to stretch the point with her business. You know, it's a bit like the saying goes, give an inch and they take a mile. So that's all I want to say, and thank you for listening to me, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, John. Cheryl Bowyard. Going well with names, my apologies. Thanks, Cheryl.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. Thank you for your time. I'm just here to put a face to the email that I sent earlier today about me and my son's experience with Michelle. We live on a rural property in Henty where we have our own dam, water troughs for the stock. We're surrounded by neighbours and everyone pretty much has a dam. So the importance of our boy knowing how to swim is imperative. We have tried to get into the swimming schools with the rec centres. I followed up with them both today, Leschenault and Southwest Sports Centre. One didn't answer the phone at all. Southwest Sports Centre pretty much said there's an extremely long wait list and there's no spots available at all. So if Michelle's swim school is to close, then as a family we have no other options and we're on a high-risk property. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. And lastly, Michelle Tani. Michelle?
Okay. All right. Good evening to the Mayor. the Deputy Mayor of Bunbury, and the rest of the Bunbury City councillors. Thank you for this opportunity to introduce myself and speak tonight. I also want to take the time to thank my wonderful and supportive parents. I consider as my family, and all their supportive emails. My name is Michelle Patani Dillon. I started my swim teaching journey back in 2013 at St John of God Swim School here in Bunbury, teaching infant aquatics and the Learn to Swim program for school-aged children. Being one of the consistent senior teachers, I had quite a following specialising in baby and toddler classes. I was regularly asked by parents, would you do any private lessons outside of work? Morally, and because I had a place that managed all the paperwork for me already at St John's, I declined. Our little swim school at St John of God's had close to 500 enrolled students at its peak. When COVID hit, the hospital decided to close our swim school down, leaving parents struggling to find lessons for their children. All the existing recreational centres were full, both in Bunbury and Leisure, and parents were welcomed with a 6-month waiting list to get in anywhere. Parents were travelling as far as Donnybrook, Harvey, Collie, Busselton to try and find lessons for their children as tax-paying parents in Bunbury. With all the existing recreational centres, they were both full. And with children, with swimming, approximately every 6 months they develop different milestones, and these parents would be missing out with these milestones in the water as they would progress. Frustrated parents searched and found me through Facebook and sent me private messages if I was interested in teaching their children lessons. Feeling guilty that my previous students had nowhere to go from St John's, knowing that the other places had already been full, I decided to do a few lessons. I think I started out with 4 children with their dedicated parents. At that stage, I wouldn't even swim in my own pool. It was just too cold. I had always been used to the nice balmy 30 degrees indoor pool at St John's that we had. So we thought we'd just start, see how we went with it, and we'd give it a go at my home-based outdoor pool. So as I was so used to working in that warm temperature, I found it too cold for me, and I remember one of the kids the very first time jumping out, going, "Oh, cold, cold." And I thought, well, we can't do this. This is not going to work. So I thought, and even for myself, we ended up putting a pool heater in, thinking that maybe this could be something we could do. They came back the next week. It seemed to work. As word got out between mothers groups, as we all know what that's like as being a mum, and friends of friends, I seemed to attract mostly all my existing students back from St John's. As they all knew me and felt comfortable with me over the years, we had a trust there and a bond with the kids already that they had known. As I already worked 2 casual jobs, both at Harvey Norman Bedding Bunbury and St John of God as a PSR on the hospital board, I had enough on my plate to keep me busy. But due to my work flexibility, I would juggle my 2 jobs to do something I was really passionate about, and that was teaching kids to swim, knowing they had nowhere else to go. Most of the students at St John of God were either, some of them tend to be more of a difficult or had troubles with their behaviours. I would often be handed those children, and they would be my prize success stories. I loved the challenges, as I thought all kids needed to have a go. It just brings me back to when I was first training as a swimming teacher, when I was back at South Sports Centre. I was in there doing my hours, and it was my turn to do in there while the supervisor had watched me. And when she got me out, she goes, "Michelle, you're not going to pass all the kids." I said, "But isn't that what I'm supposed to be doing?" And she goes, "Look, you only have a limited time. You just teach the majority. Some will get it, some won't, and that's just how it is. If they improve with one little extra skill set, you're done." That didn't work for me. I didn't like that. I wanted to see all kids succeed. That was my motto with my swimming, my private swimming lessons at home. Also, I don't want to be seen as a swim school. I'm not doing this as a business full time. I already have my 2 jobs, as I mentioned before. So it's purely just to help children have that skill that they need, basically. And it's what I really love doing. Anyway, back to it. So my success story, I had a little boy. I had him at St John's when he was about 7 years old. And the brief was, he won't put his face in the water, he won't get wet. I thought, what's he going to do? He's here for swimming lessons. It was so bad that the child would not even have a shower before he got into the pool. I coaxed him into the water, we did a little bit of play, and it took weeks before I got his trust. At one stage, when he left the St John of God's, the parent there would make sure it was always going to be the last lesson of the day because he did have ADHD, he did have other things going on as well, which is neurodivergent child. And it was that bad that when the parent had come to take him from the lesson to shampoo his hair, he was screaming, crying. I was like, oh my goodness, this child is going to go into his car with suds in his hair. And I tried to help the father and nothing would do it. So as I got to build his trust in that, he got his face in the water, started doing bubbles. I've had him for about 5 years, and I'm really happy to say now that he's just like any other regular child. He's doing his freestyle, he's doing his breaststroke, he's doing all the strokes you can think of. And it got to the point where I said to the mother, look, I'm not here for a money grab. I said, I've taught him all I can. He really needs to now progress to a bigger swim school or to, Southwest Sports Centre. And she said, oh, look, no one will take him. I said, what do you mean? She said, no one wants to deal with, someone who takes too much time. And so I said, well, look, I'll give him something different. We do off the books. He's doing side stroke. So I'm teaching him all those other bits and pieces, and it does take a lot of patience, getting their trust, getting to know who they are, and it'll be like, okay, let's do, if you want to play with your toys, I'll give you 2 minutes of playing with your favourite toys, but Michelle wants to see 2 laps after this, let's go. So he knows what we've got to do, and we've built such a trust that I also have his brother as well that I now teach, and he also has similar problems as well too. I just find with mainstream swimming, a lot of the kids that need that little bit of extra TLC, they kind of don't get it. They flounder by the wayside. They're left there not loving swimming at all. I've had a 13-year-old boy come to me. The mum said, look, I don't want him to miss out with inclusion with his friends that'll go to pool parties, and he'd sit on the sideline knowing that he couldn't swim. He was from a different migrant background. He came to me for a couple of lessons. I said, well, what would you like to do? He said, well, I just want to be able to do dives like the rest of them do, jump in the pool and swim and not feel silly like I don't know what I'm doing and I don't want to drown. So we ended up getting him up to speed. Was quite happy. Another child that was not confident in the water was behind 2 or 3 stages in his classes. He'd feel he didn't want to do swimming anymore because here he was being like a 10-year-old being put into like a stage 1 level, which kids are normally about 5 or 6 years old. So you can imagine the peer pressure already that age that you kind of go, well, I'm here with babies and I'm an older kid, and they just pull out of swimming. I got him up to speed, and our goal was to make him do quite a few laps and with proper technique. And I said, okay, now that you can do this, I want to see how you go with your swimming carnival. And he did. He said, now not 25 metres. I said, you can do 50 metres now. I said, you've done 5 laps in my pool. You can do 50 metres. And I said, I don't care if you don't win. I just want to know that you can do it. Anyway, he did. He put himself down for his swimming carnival, and he did his 50 metres. I said I was really proud of him. And even the mum said how chuffed he was that he actually achieve that for himself. And it's those little things that you just love and go, yes, I've made a difference. And that's all it is that I want to do, is make a difference. And I think the parents see that with teaching you have like certain criteria you have to tick boxes. I don't do that. I'm a private home swimming teacher, and I will do it as what the child can do or can cope with, what they're comfortable with, and then build from that. Most of my lessons are private lessons. Where I would have a double lesson would be often with siblings, like the 2 twins together, or I would have like one child was on one level and then another child was sort of okay, but sometimes I think if they're both together, it might push them just to give them a little bit more competitive edge and just give them a little nudge to, get them out there. So that's where I'll have my 2 lessons together. Most of the afternoons are basically just for the children, after-school children, so that way they can sort of don't miss out on after-school lessons, because I find in the mornings it's mostly babies, and then the only time the older children can come is in the afternoon. So I reserve that time purely just for them. And because of the limited time frames that we've got, which is probably only about 4-5 lessons possibly, well then that would be always a two class lesson with them. On a Saturday afternoons, if the older children are requesting a private session, I'll have them on a Saturday afternoon where it's just nice and quiet, one-on-one, not to intrude with the neighbours, weekend as well. And if I don't, my lessons I've set, what I'm wanting to do is have a set amount of lessons. It doesn't mean that I'm to fill them all. I'm here to cater for parents. Some parents come to me and say, look, I don't finish work till 5 o'clock. Can I have that 5:30 time slot? Gives me time to drop the kids off, get stuff ready, and I can get my child there on time after my work. So it's more of a flexibility, not that I have to fill everything. I'm not here for a money grab, it's based on demand. As I said, I'm not advertising, I don't want signs out, it's just word of mouth. If people are happy, they're there. If they're not, well, you know. And I just wanted to make, I've invited all my parents and the kids here tonight because with the proposal that was initially out, I was like, who do I pick? Who do I say no to say that you're not worthy of lessons? So I leave it in your hands to say who can and can't have the lessons. Because as far as I'm concerned, all the children deserve lessons. There is nowhere else in Bunbury that they can get these lessons, as the places are full. And just by doing it this way, I find I can cater to their needs because there is not a lot of spaces for people with ADHD, autism that they are dealing with. And another lady also had told me, one of the mums that said, I went to one of the sports centres and apparently
Michelle,
said...
just in fairness to obviously I've allowed a little bit of extra time, but I'm happy to let you summarise that point. So it has been that 10 minutes, but I'm happy for you to summarise that point.
Sorry, thank you. Yep. And so I just wanted to make sure that all kids have been included because I found when she went there, she said if they're on a certain level, unfortunately they don't get any NDIS, they won't take them. And I thought that's really actually discrimination as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you to the speakers for this evening. So, councillors, we do have an executive recommendation in front of us, which is written there. I will ask if there's a mover for the executive recommendation. Councillor Quain to move the executive recommendation. Okay, I'll just see if there's a mover for, just based on how we do, we'll just see if there's a mover for the executive, but I'm happy for you to foreshadow that. So if there's no mover for the executive recommendation as written, that executive recommendation has lapsed. There has been an alternative recommendation which has just been indicated, which is written in front of us. Is there a mover for this? Quite a few. Councillor Steele, I saw stand up first. Councillor Turner, I think I saw out the left as a seconder. So just for those who may not be following, the initial executive recommendation was to refuse that application that was presented. That item did not get a mover, which means it lapsed. This is an alternative recommendation to approve that application with some conditions which are in there as well. Is there a speaker against this recommendation? Councillor Steele? Sure, Councillor Steele, yes.
I do want to acknowledge Mr and Mrs Stevens' concerns and acknowledge what you had to say tonight. But the reason I will be supporting the school go ahead is I understand my children, and I don't think you were a teacher, so in case I have to do a declare of interest, because it was 20 years ago, my children did go to St John's, and the small classes there, they did actually benefit from them. So I listened to all the parents here tonight. I also understand the repetition of the same, you know, ring a roses or whatever they had to sing all the time. As a parent, I had to listen to that week in and week out as well. But repetition is how children learn and how it sticks in their mind, and especially children with special needs. This is the way we get our children to be safe in water, especially, we are in Australia, let's face it, a lot of us have outdoor pools. We have the lady who had the dam and have dams around. So as much as it does drive us parents crazy as well as singing that, and I actually understand where you're coming from, it is repetition, it's how our children learn, and so that's why I would say Michelle repeats the same songs, because it actually sticks through their head. So as much as I will be supporting this, I do acknowledge Mr and Mrs Stevens' concerns as well, but I also see the passion that Michelle isn't doing this for money, she's actually doing this for love, and I actually got that from the speech from herself. I also got it from the parents that actually spoke tonight as well, so I wish her well.
Thank you. Councillor Turner?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to commend Michelle on providing such a wonderful service. I've read through 30 emails that I received from clients and how much they admire her and how much that is improving their children's lives. And like I said, there isn't swimming lessons for children with ADHD and sensory issues, and you really need that one-on-one and that quiet time and that, small personal space. And also the gentleman who lives at number 8, I'm very similar views to yourself with I love hearing my neighbours having fun or playing music or kids laughing. I live near a primary school and I love listening to those kids bouncing the ball and throwing and laughing and screaming, whether it's, fun or the other way around, fighting or whatever. I give away bread and do feed it forward at my place, and I have, up to 100 people turning up each week coming to get bread. And the thought, if somebody complained and tried to stop that wonderful service that is going out to all the people in need, would just be devastating. And it's unfortunate that you've had to even stop for even such a small time or a couple of months. And, I just commend you on the service that you provide, and I hope that the neighbours can start to find the joy and of what this service is providing. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turner.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, but I also have an amendment to point 2 of the alternative motion.
Sure, that might be the point we're getting at. Was that, sorry, John, there's no opportunity for members of the public to participate in this part of the debate. Councillor Steck, what's your amendment first?
Well, I noticed that the business is not running for 26 weeks of the year, and I noticed that the time frame that it does run for the children and for uniformity and consistency, I'd like to expand it as the term 1 from February to April.
Sure, I might be able to
So
help.
you have the two terms.
Yeah, Councillor Steck, grab a sec. I might be able to help because I understand this potentially was shared with the applicant, and their only request was that the temporary approval went through to the 30th of April 2027. And what I'll just ask the CEO to maybe just clarify, was there any legislation or reasons of why that date was picked, and if that was an amendment that was considered, whether that we could consider that. So, CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. So just to confirm that if elected members were of mind to change point 2 to 30th of April 2027, that would be fine.
Sure. So happy to take it as an amendment, Councillor Steck, but what I might just do, if the mover and seconder are happy with that, I'll consider it a minor amendment. And if the mover and seconder are happy with that, which will just be updating, and Councillor Steck, as long as you're happy with that, that effectively the approval would be the 30th of April 2027, which I think encapsulates exactly what you were trying to do to align it to the school terms. So you're comfortable with that, Councillor Steck? And the movement, thank you.
Also, sir, on the back page, point B, would have to read the same.
Sure, I'll just, yep, and I'll just check on part B, we'll get that in there. Is Councillor Steele and Councillor Turner, you're happy with that change? Thank you. And point B, where was point B, Councillor Steck? Oh, the advice notes, okay. Just fixing the advice notes, which I think isn't part of the recommendation, but still just for clarification. Keep going down, minute taker, all the way down to the advice notes, which are not on there, great. But we'll make sure they're updated. The advice notes are obviously advice that goes through with some of the conditions, and that'll be updated as well through that, thank you. Okay, so we have a second. The amendment was obviously just taken as part of the procedural motion. Is there any speaker against this recommendation? Councillor Gasser.
Mayor, but I'm just wondering if there's an opportunity for councillors to have more say. Perhaps suspend standing orders, or opportunity to have more say.
You can move that we suspend. Obviously, our standing orders are that speakers speak for and against an item. That's our standing orders. So obviously, there's no opportunity for a further speaker, and if there's no speaker against, potentially Councillor Gasser might not be required. So unless you want to move that we suspend standing orders.
I'll move it. So I'd like to have a say in support of this, but if not, that's fine. So I'll move it, yes.
I'll continue the form that I've normally done in previous time, Councillor Gasser, to avoid that. I'll use my option to speak against. I won't say anything, but I'll invite a speaker for. Councillor Gasser.
Very grateful, Mr Mayor. Just had a quick look at the zoning table, Mr Mayor, our planning scheme 8, and there are permitted uses and there's discretionary uses in residential areas, and these include childcare uses, civic use, club premises, community purposes, consulting rooms, family daycare, home businesses, of course, place of worship, telecommunication infrastructure, swimming lessons is not on there, but I reckon it's so rare, it probably would have been included if it was discussed at some sort of TPS review. So there's multiple uses that are permitted or are discretionary under Council TPS 8. I've never had so many emails in 2 days in support of a application, I suppose. 30 emails, and all quite comprehensive, and quite a few of them have mentioned something close to my heart, and that is safety and well-being of the community. And that's obviously a top priority for council as well. So I'm very pleased that someone's actually highlighting that this service also has the safety and well-being of the community in mind. Many have mentioned also there's other important factors in such a service. And the final point I just picked up from the proponent is that this is really something that the proponent is doing out of the heart to help the community. But Mr Mayor, I appreciate the fact that you let me speak. I didn't want to let it go without saying something in support of it.
Thank you. Is there a speaker against the alternative recommendation? Councillor Still, nothing to close. I'll put the alternative recommendation. Those in favour, please indicate. That's carried unanimously. So to those in the room, that alternative recommendation now has been approved, and that application has been approved. Thank you for joining us. You're more than welcome. Thank you. You're more than welcome to join us if you would like to, but given there's a number of young children in the room, I'll just pause for a moment or two for those who would like to leave. If you are planning on just having a chat, just if you could please do that outside, because the noise does really radiate back in here. But thank you very much for your attendance. Yeah, I'm sure they'll be. Oh, there she's back. It's pretty important. Okay, we will continue, councillors, and we'll move along to item 10.2.1. I'll just get this on the table first. Councillor, is somebody happy to move this? Councillor Andrew, is there a... Yeah.
Just in relation to formulating a CEO, Bunbury Geograph group of councils, has it been formed already?
The executive officer?
No, the actual BGGC.
CEO?
So thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Steck, for the question. So there currently is a BGCC, so that includes the 4 councils that are part of the discussion here, and also includes Donnybrook and Collie. And I think the point I made in the report was that the group is currently reviewing that, and the need for an executive officer, which we've discussed through that group. My personal view is that we should align that with the Greater Bunbury Regional Scheme and those 4 councils, because I think we've got some big issues as a group of councils to discuss that probably don't have the same point of interest as some of the other membership. But all of that's got to be worked through. That's what I've referenced in the report.
Okay, so further questions, sir.
Sure.
So this is not going to be intended to replace the Bunbury BEWA?
BGEA?
Yeah,
It's a separate
Bunbury
organisation.
Economic Alliance.
Yeah, separate organisation.
Yeah, I realise that,
Yep.
but
No.
further question would be, if this is formulated and we get a CEO, which would then be a level 1, will we then stop the 25,000 towards the Bunbury Economic Alliance? Because that is repetitive of what this intends to do.
That's up to the council, the future council, future decision of council to make. We're a membership of part of BGEA. If a future council doesn't see the need of that, that's the council of the day to determine that. But CEO, you need to further that?
Yeah, I think certainly there's a way, one of the options is you could use BGEA, which we're all members of as well, to play that executive officer role and be that conduit for, you know, some of the work that we might do. But we've got more work to do in how that governance might work, which again I've referenced in a couple of statements in the report.
Sure, Councillor Steck.
Just in relation to, it says in here, favourable position in relation to the delivery project of somewhere here, I can't find it at the moment, but I did read where it says the favourable position in relation to the wind turbines. This council hasn't even made a decision on wind turbines, so are we going to bring that decision back to council?
Yeah, so obviously the CI and I joined this group. We haven't discussed wind farms. The 4 local governments with their signatures have written to Minister Bowen twice now asking for a meeting, but we're yet to hear back. But there's no position that this group or the city have a position on that.
I noticed there was one thing, and I'm through the local government that we just went through. I did speak with some of these member councils, and transport's not on here, but it's a significant issue. Could we have a look at transport being part of this document as well, please?
CEO?
So I think, Mayor, this responds to is just to council's resolution around all the things that we do share and the way that we do share. And I think what I've tried to do in the report is reference that some of the models need some work, and we'll bring further work, a further report back to council in due course. The thing that I want to make sure is that if we're part of groups, that we've got a clear understanding of the priorities for both, you know, the City of Bunbury and of the group. And I don't think that's been clear enough in some of the groups. So there's more work to do, and absolutely we'll bring something back agreeing on our priorities and then how they feed into the group's priorities, whatever that makeup is.
One question, Mr Mayor, sorry.
Sure. Councillor Steele, you're next.
Sorry, but I've noticed in here that it says group of councils would be over 100,000 persons of representation. Will the City of Bunbury's needs always come first?
CEO?
So I think what I was trying to demonstrate is that for me, it's much better when you start to talk to, you know, particularly the Commonwealth Government and even the state government, if we act as 4 rather than 1. So, you know, our ability to identify community benefits in the case of, you know, the example that 375,000 households in that case versus, and in our case, 100. So it's about...
I'm just going to clarify something that Councillor Steck said about paying the CEO. I didn't see anything there that would come.
Ignoring the opportunity that whether or not there is an opportunity there. Right now, the Bunbury Geograph Group of Councils has no administration or resources. I think one of the administration officers have a dedicated resource. So the report talks about the opportunity is that, and that'll be a decision for a future council if that's the path we want to go on. Yeah. And as we say, that could be, as well as what other formalisations will need to take place, which the future council can make a decision on. Sorry, Councillor Steele.
No, that's very interesting. But I did notice that Dardanup's already in cahoots with Kalamunda. So do we have, is that a get out, do they have a get out clause with them?
No, but obviously I think that this is noting the information, but a lot more work to do in this space, and obviously for a future council to determine. We've got a mover and second already. Was there any speaker against? If that's the case, Councillor Gassop, sorry.
Just a question.
A question, Councillor Gassop.
Mr Mayor, 5 questions. So rather than speak against, I'll just raise these questions. Great. There's a question here about the advantages and also the, I suppose, the disadvantages, and it mentions that. Is there any intent to actually set up a regional local government? That's question 1.
Give a progress report of some of the work that has been done. There's different vehicles. They would need far more work. This is really already outlined. It's really about whatever groups we're in, making sure that's effective, that we've got the right governance and we've got the right structures. Works better than perhaps what we're doing down here.
So in the case of a regional subsidiary, which would be unelected members, skilled-based, there's talk about potentially borrowing money. Can we be sort of get an indication that we're not going to be pushing that burrow?
No.
Okay, good. Thank you. It does say in page 31, the BGGC currently investigating the joint funding for an executive officer for the group.
And if that's the case, that'll need a decision that comes back through those councils, whether or not that's a commitment they want to get to, because it's being investigated, as we've just pointed out. Is that something that we want to continue to go down?
The last question, in the second paragraph on page 32, I found it, Councillor Steck was looking for it, about the group representing 100,000 plus would have significantly more value and influence in future discussions on the community benefits and planning outcomes sought for the offshore wind discussion with the federal and state government. So have we taken, or are we going to take a formal position? So I wanted to raise this, it's timely, last night someone asked me to raise this to council. There's a coral out there where they're planning to put this wind farm. And these are the photographs.
Point of order, relevant.
Yeah, it's not a question for this discussion. We've answered that question. This council doesn't have a position. If this council wants to have a position, obviously that can be moved through other means. But right now, the only correspondence we've had on that is we've written to the Minister Bowen to be invited to be part of the discussion. We've done that twice, assigned by the current Shire President and myself. We're yet to hear back from them. So the latest correspondence the federal government put out is that they are keen to work with local governments to discuss, but we haven't heard back from this stage. So there's no positions from this group of councils on any position right now. That's talking about what may or may not occur in the future, which will be a future council's decision. Thank you. Is there likely to be a speaker against this particular recommendation?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I just ask a question?
Sure,
Are we able to add a date for a progress report back to council, please? Because at the moment this just leaves it open.
Oh, yeah, it's a probably valid point and potentially can clarify a number of those points that have been raised.
Okay.
CEO, to Ben, I can't say.
Sorry, yes, can I just ask if we can include, return by June 30th?
CEO, how do you feel around this having, what dates, and I'm assuming...
Yeah, look, I'd be happy with that. Mayor, as you know, we're going to have a visioning exercise in February where we look at all of our priorities, and that would make some sense to me.
Right. June 30, 2026, as Councillor Andrew, if you're happy to put that as part of the CEO's relax with it. Councillor Kozisek, are you happy as a seconder to include that? Great. CEO's happy with that, moving to a second, so that can form part of the executive recommendation. Now, is there likely to be any debate on this particular item? If that's the case, I'll put it. Those in favour, please indicate. That is carried unanimously. Thank you. Now, councillors, moving along to item 14. I need to move that we deal with this as urgent business, so I'll move that to the council in lines with standing orders. Consider this as urgent item. Is there a seconder to that? I'll put that. Those in favour, sorry, that's carried. Thank you. So, councillors has indicated this was needs to come to us as this item. We can now bring that down. Thank you. So, this isn't a confidential item, a recommendation, but obviously the appendix is confidential. So if there are any questions of that report, I'm happy to go behind closed doors. But what I might do is get on the table first and see how this conversation goes. Councillor Steele, happy to move. Councillor happy to second it. Is there any questions for this item? And is there likely to be any debate this item? If that's the case, I'll put it. Those in favour, please indicate. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to a close. As I said at the start of the meeting, thank you very much for this council's efforts over the last few years. Good luck to all those in the election, and thank you all very much for joining us. Thank you. I declare this meeting closed at 6:36.